Hi, I'm Anna Olsen on A1R, my show today every Tuesday, 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, Insights into Consciousness. I am always available for a reading. If you would like to reach me for a reading, life path reading sessions with me, teaching you about your intuition, what your intuition style or abilities are, and then working on those and practicing with you so that you can use those in your daily life or as a business. You can always reach me at annaolsenintuitive.com. It's at the bottom of the screen. The spelling is ANNAOLSEN, intuitive, INTUITIVE.com. And you can always go to Facebook, Anna Olsen Intuitive, or on Instagram, Tiny Medium Queendom. So the @ and Tiny Medium Queendom. Today, I am really excited to go over some things that I have learned, again, doing readings. And the reason why I love sharing this with all of you is because I really think it is some invaluable, priceless information that I learned doing readings. And I don't want to just keep it all to myself. Why not share? So today, I want to tell you all about what I've learned with people who have passed to the other side. And I've done readings for many people who have passed to the other side. They're now connecting with a loved one. And for the first time since they've been born in this lifetime, they are able to see, once they go to the other side and they have this big picture of everything that happened in their lifetime, they now can see the bigger picture. And the reason why this is important is because it's going to happen to every single one of us. And if I, had a skill set or something that I could offer you where you were set for the future in some way, so I could really not even just help you in this life and temporary happiness here in this time dispensation, in this lifetime, but in the next. And I really am excited to share this with you because, I have been really focusing and asking my angels, guides, and ascended masters, God, Goddess, universal consciousness, however you want to phrase that. I have been praying and really asking a lot of questions about these things, these deep things, because I'm a deep person. And I think we should all be, deeper. Like if I really, really wanted to be shallow on my show, I could sit and talk about, my makeup, my hair, my size, I'm a size whatever. And, I just got into a size whatever because I was dieting. Okay, that's really actually good for health. But I'm looking at the deeper stuff. I want to go below all of that shallow stuff that doesn't really last. It doesn't really create lasting happiness. I want to see the long-term goal, of happiness and really what can create not just long-term happiness in this lifetime, but the next. Now, the first step of telling you about what it's like when we pass and we see the bigger picture is, first of all, you have to understand being in your body opposed to not being in your body. And this can feel a little uncomfortable for some people that, okay, well, one day we're all going to have to pass on. We're all going to have a funeral, etc. But I really like to delve into this in a way where we're looking at, what does death look like to you? What do you want it to look like? There are now death doulas that help us plan our death. And how would you like that to look? If you do have a warning beforehand, where do you want to be? Or how do you want that to look? Who do you want to be there? It's all about you and your plan. And it's kind of like when we go into the hospital to have a baby or go into a birthing center to have a baby, we choose who will be there. It's a very special, sacred time. And the birth into the next life is similar. So this is why more people are becoming more aware, and I think it's important for you to become more aware too, that we're all going to face this, and it's not something to just leave up to a doctor or a stranger or somebody, who doesn't know what they're doing in our family or something like that. It's really important for us to look at death as part of our not just life process, but eternal process, and to really see it as something as really in our control. It's really within our control more than we imagine it is. And we can always even ask, spirit and guidance, when you pray or meditate, if you can die in a certain way. So I have a grandmother who prayed every night. She's a really devout Catholic, she's very spiritual. And she's so sweet. She just wanted to die in her sleep. And guess what? She died in her sleep. And we were all so happy for her that she was able to go in her sleep. And although talking about death can be uncomfortable, I want to talk about the really amazing part of death. And that is that when we pass and we're on the other side and we see everyone else's experience of us and how we made other people feel, we suddenly see the big picture. So when we're kind of trapped in these bodies and like we can only see like maybe however many feet, out on a scenery or something like that, but you can't see past that mountain or you can't quite see past that part of the plane. And when you're without your body, you're not limited with your body. And your spirit form, you can see maybe 1,000 miles away at a time. You can look out and you can see 1,000 miles away. You can not just hear people, but you can feel people, what vibe they're giving off to an extreme, to where you're extremely telepathic. So we have this all-encompassing, less inhibited way of being as a spirit out of the body. Now, there's a good thing to this, of course. It's almost like you have superpowers now, right? The really difficult part that I want to bring to your attention is that you also understand the things that you did while you were in your body that were negative or bad, or that really caused a negative ripple effect, not just in the world, but in the universe. The universal consciousness. So that's how powerful we all are. That's how powerful you are, I am, we all are. And this is what I really want to focus on today, is that we all have extreme power in what we do. And all of us are at different learning curves when it comes to emotion and spirituality and even empathy. And empathy is the thing that I really want to focus on. And it's not just empathy for other people, but it's empathy for one's self. And that we are denying our spiritual purpose and we are denying our spiritual assignment that we were given in this life and on this planet if we are not defending ourselves the same way that we would defend, like, let's say, our child or somebody that we care about. And we are to be protected and loved and kept safe the same way everyone else is. So that said, even if someone doesn't understand empathy, even if somebody was never taught, or they don't understand what it's like to lose someone close to them, or they don't understand what it's like to go through a divorce, or to lose a child, or something horrific, or even something small or less severe, it's important that we all, that you, that I really focus on what we've been taught. So all the spiritual masters, teachers, even our parents, even our friends, teachers at school when we were growing up, it's important we don't rebel and deny against those concepts of kindness and love that we were taught, even if you're not quite sure what the other person is going through. These are concepts of love, kindness, extending help when someone needs it, being sure that we're not judging somebody based on the color of their skin or where they're from or their family name or et cetera, et cetera. The reason why I say this is because it can be so detrimental to other people's lives when we are not acting in kindness. And this really is going back to generalized childhood elementary school teaching. Okay. So unfortunately, we have this epidemic of adults, not just teenagers and children who should know better, but adults who should know better than to be unkind, bullying, or harsh with others, not just people who are smaller than them, but other adults, and people who are from a different place or have a different skin color, nationality, or language barrier, or anything, disability, or what have you. They're from a certain background. Or maybe they don't, maybe they have a learning disability. Maybe they don't know how to spell that well, or maybe they don't know how to read that well because maybe they have, dyslexia or some. There are so many things that humans deal with on a day-to-day basis that they have actually pushed through, that they are now heroes of, that other people discount or discredit them for or bully them about. And those are the most discrediting and harmful things that we can do to other people. And so these are one of the main things that I feel like a lot of adults have issue with, leaving people out. It's even hard, like in this day and age, though, to really like gauge it, but you can do it if you really try. I still will, like, maybe very rarely post things that I do with my friends on social media. It's usually about my business, because I don't want anybody else to feel left out or like they weren't invited. Maybe they don't understand the circumstance. Maybe they, and you could say, oh, they shouldn't be so sensitive. But on the other hand, why not be kind? Why not accept that some people are more sensitive? Why not accept that some people do need that extra, why not be careful? I don't understand. And I think that's where I'm going with this, is that we all have a big effect on the people around us. And of course, if we all mess up, which we all will, it's important to apologize and do better. And in the first place, it's very important to understand that people out there do not have empathy sometimes, and to try to understand that if you are questioning somebody's behavior. And on the other hand, if you yourself know you do not have empathy like other people, then you even more so need to practice kindness and really practicing putting your filter on that mouth and that behavior, and to really work on that, because that is even more of a struggle for you. And if when you're hearing me speak about these things, it's making you automatically go to somebody else outside of your life who may have hurt you, rather than going inward and thinking about what you're doing wrong, you're probably the most guilty, because you're not looking at yourself. And I'm totally guilty of the same thing sometimes. So not all the time, but sometimes. So, I just want to like tell you that's human. But on the other hand, it's a good sign that you're the perpetrator, because if you're actually thinking, oh, well, maybe I don't have empathy, is my empathy okay? You're all right, because you're actually questioning yourself and your own behavior. If you're the people that really don't feel this, or who really are like thinking about outwardly, like, oh, well, who's done this to me? How am I the victim? Most likely you are the one who really needs to hear this and to just practice it, because it is one of the best things you will ever do for your relationships. And I say this out of love. I say this out of love and care for you, and out of empathy for you. Otherwise, I would just keep it to myself and let you suffer. So, I mean, really, it is out of love. It really is out of, me really wanting other people to do well. And some people have no empathy, and some people have, just a little less than other people. There's a scale, it's kind of a spectrum. And so, I just really want to put emphasis on the fact that I'm coming from love, and I'm coming from just really wanting to be of service to you, because I don't want to see anyone ever again in the spirit world who is coming through on a reading and is desperate for that person just to know that they love them because they never told them, or desperate to tell their loved one that they're sorry because they could never comprehend that what they did was that hurtful. It's good to be very free and generous with apologies and I love yous. You never know the last time you're going to see a person. You never know the last time a person's going to be able to say goodbye to you. Please don't take people for granted, because I am getting more and more of these readings where even though someone didn't understand, and I just have to say a lot of these individuals are men, just because of society's teachings of don't be emotional, talk about the weather type behavior. And that's okay. I find the weather interesting sometimes, but we need to get past that shallow stuff. We need to get deeper into the emotionality of I love yous, I'm sorry, what can I do better, how can I make this right, and to really be sincere as possible. Now, I can't, suggest that somebody is going to have to say, oh, well, I can't feel something that I don't. That's understandable. If you don't feel sorry for something, but you know that there's an apology that's owed, it is important to do the best that you can. And that, your best is better than nothing. And your best is still going to help make you grow. Your best is still going to give you the one up, you're going to be ahead with people. You're going to be ahead in money if you can do this and learn to do this. You're going to be ahead in your job. This is really about emotional intelligence. And even though you may not understand why that person would be so upset, instead of, shrugging them off and calling them crazy or too sensitive, it's very important that there is an apology of, okay, you don't even have to say, I don't understand why you're upset. It just has to be like, oh, you're upset. Therefore, I owe you an apology. Oh, you felt bad about that. Well, I'm going to make that right. If that hurt you, then I'm going to make that right. Because the alternative, let me tell you the alternative. The alternative is you out of your body one day after you've passed away, watching your loved ones suffering, seeing their hearts deep down, and being able to do very little to correct that or to comfort them. And when they talk about, purgatory, they talk about hell or whatever. It's interesting that, the biblical sense, they say that you're going to be in like hellfire and all of that, because the main thing that I've seen is in the other life, the next life, is people who have the deepest sorrow of what they could have done different while they were here. And the majority of the time, that would be not harming others or correcting how they harmed others. And let me tell you what, once we all, me included, once we all are at that place and we all are at this point where we can see the long-term effect, we can see the damage, and we can definitely with our spirits deeply feel empathy. And with our spirits, we can deeply understand one day, we will be in the position where we can feel very, very desperate to reach a medium, to get a hold of somebody. And this is why us mediums have to put up walls of protection and to stay in a really high vibe of those good people 11 above, because the alternative are these poor spirits who are suffering because they didn't do enough in this life. And so I cannot stress enough to go back over, ask each person you're close to, especially your children, your spouse, your family, your best friend, your coworkers, anybody you've been in close contact with that you could have the most, exposure to emotionally. Ask them, hey, I just want to know, are we okay? And even if they say, oh, no, we're fine, carefully watch their behavior. Carefully watch their body language. Most people don't want to inconvenience you. Most people don't want to talk about it either. Some people are scared. And so, you can even explain, hey, I just want to make sure we're all right. I'm just kind of going over my relationships and all of my relationships. I just want to make sure we're good. And if there's anything that, and I know this happened, a couple of years ago, and I just want to make sure we're okay. I just want to make sure that you know that I care about you and that I care. And you'd be surprised at how big a difference that can make to somebody, whether you agree with them or not. You don't have to agree with them. The only thing you have to do is to understand that it made them feel bad. And of course, that's their issue. That's the point. It's their issue. And you want to be very unselfish about this. It is their issue, because somebody who isn't taking offense is probably more self-confident and more self-assured and probably has had more going for them lately. Okay. The people who have these issues, these sensitivities, whatever, they're the ones that need it the most. So that isn't them being guilty of something. That's them needing it more. So what you need to do is go in, make sure that all those T's are crossed, I's are dotted with those people in your life, especially the big ones. If, you haven't been there for your kids, if you haven't been there for your best friend, your sibling, your parents, and with that said, I also really want to reiterate that if you are concerned about, not contacting somebody who has been abusive to you or has been very, very volatile to you, then you still feel like you need to set some closure up there despite their abuse, There's always writing them a letter and sending it and never responding. It doesn't mean you have to trust them. It doesn't mean that you have to allow toxic, abusive people into your space. I'm so against that, actually. You need to still protect your energy because, again, you're just as important, and we will be held accountable for our own care of ourselves as well. So please do not confuse what I'm saying with putting up with toxic, abusive behavior. Keep those boundaries up. Okay, I'm not saying, hey, let an abuser abuse you. I'm saying make sure that other people do not feel abused by you, regardless. And that is where we all can really take this step forward in so many facets of our lives. It's just a simple thing, not always easy, but it is mostly very simple. Something we can all do to really take that step forward, really start to move forward spiritually in this life. And it is so much easier in the next life this way. So I can't stress it enough. It doesn't matter if you understand their point of view. You do not have to agree with them. As a matter of fact, most of the time you do not agree with the person when this is happening. And that's the point. In addition, if you're, looking at the person and thinking, I can't believe I have to apologize for this, you're probably not going to get an I'm sorry back sometimes. And that is not the point. You let them deal with that. And if you're just doing it to get an apology back, that's for the wrong reason. The thing is to grow and to understand that we can only do what we can do, and we have to let other people do what they're going to do and then let it go. So that's the whole principle of what I'm talking about here. And I swear to you, I'm not preaching to you. I swear to you that this is not out of judgment. This is completely out of love and concern for other people who may have not learned this in their childhood, from their upbringing, or from just simply, how they're wired. I mean, there are some people who have neurological differences. There are people who have maybe even some issues, like they have to take medication for certain things, and it may make them kind of function differently. And so, of course, I'm not saying that this is a concept that is, me like saying, oh, you're evil or anything like that. I just want to make that really clear. And it's important too that when we're talking about bettering things between people, that I want to be very, very clear about the fact that there doesn't have to be anything owed to you. I just don't want to see you in the spirit world someday, desperate for your loved ones or the people who you cared about, to know that's not what you meant, and now you can't talk to them unless you have an interpreter, a medium. We mediums are pretty rare. We kind of have to stay in these confinements a lot of the time. A lot of the mediums I know are in the medium closet still. They haven't come out because they're scared and they're afraid of what people will think of them. And it's really more difficult to cross, to get those bridges put up between people and all of that after death. During this life, it is so easy for us to just do this now. When you've crossed over, it's so much harder, and it's difficult. If you could imagine, thinking about the person you love the most on the other side of a window that you can never cross, and they can't see you. It's like a one-way mirror, and they don't even know you're there. And all you want to do is alleviate their suffering. You love them dearly. You see the big picture. And even if you didn't love them as much before in life, all of those limitations are now lifted, and you do feel love for them. So if you can imagine, this totally different dimension in reality that you're going to be experiencing, that we're all going to be experiencing, and this all-encompassing knowledge now that the Ascended Masters will now show you, then, I really, really want others to really take hold of this concept and to understand that those traditional be nice, don't judge, be kind. Even if you're having a bad day, apologize. Did you yell at your kids? Apologize. They're pretty resilient. They'll understand. Yeah, you don't want to do it all the time. But just admit your wrongs. And if you're the person who jumps to like, oh, someone did this to me first, you're the main person who needs to work on this. Just saying, no judgment, no judgment. I'll look the other way. I didn't even know that was you. But really it's important, and you'll start to notice the improvements in your life today. If you can do this today, you'll start to notice you feel lighter, you feel freer, you feel happier. People are responding to you more. People will trust you more. I swear, if somebody does this in a manipulative way, if somebody does this in a manipulative way and they're just doing that to get into somebody's space to hurt them more, they're going to get this threefold. So I have to warn you about, you can't do that. So I'm all out of time, but if you would like to do a reading with me, you need somebody to interpret for you, to get in touch with your loved ones, or just to do a life path reading, or we can work together and learn how to do readings. You can use it in your daily life or as a business or a side business. You can even do it without anybody knowing who you are. You can give me a call, or you can reach me. Just get on my website, AnnaOlsenIntuitive.com. It's at the bottom of the screen. You can reach me there. There's also Anna Olsen Intuitive on Facebook, where you can reach me, and on Instagram. Just do the @ Tiny Medium Queendom. And I will see you very soon. I'm here every Tuesday. I hope to see you next week, and I will talk to you soon.